Yeah. So today we'll go. Today we are starting with the C concepts with the like basic first concept like keywords. So as I mentioned yesterday in the class, in the previous class, what is a keyword like first of all? So when we install our C programming software in our laptop or any desktop machines, so it will by default it will install some header files and keywords, data types. These all things will be in the bin folder. So usually each and every software will be stored in the local disk C only. So if you open in local disk C and if you're able to find the C language software, in that you could able to see the lib file and the build folders. In those folders, you can able to see the .h files. What are the .h files we have? Which means like what are the content we have? What are the printf, scanner function definitions which we have? Those all things should be we can see in the those files in the folders. So now coming to these keywords are like as I mentioned, it is like a predefined. So these words already reserved words in the C programming language. Because if you want to use any variable, for example, if I want to create, okay, so for example, if I want to create var, so we need to check whether this var is a variable or keyword or data type. So before going to create any variable, we need to remember what are the keywords, because like we cannot use keywords as a variable names, because like these keywords are already defined in the C programming language. If once these variables are defined, these keywords are defined, we cannot use as a like normal variables. These all keywords has its own rules and set of properties. So as I mentioned, like keywords are predefined and these are like reserved words used in the programming, which has special meaning to the compiler. And keywords as a part of syntax and they cannot be used as an identifier or a variable. So as I mentioned, whatever we have the keywords, those keywords we cannot use as a normal variables. And like C language is like case sensitive. So whatever we want to create, those all variables or data types or keywords all should be in the small letter, which is like case sensitive. And by default in C language, we have only 32 keywords. So, which means like we can remember easily these 32 keywords by practicing daily one by later. Now, going to what are the keywords we have in the C language? See, these are the like 32 keywords in the C language: auto, break, case, character, continue, do, default, extend, enum, int, long, register, typedef, union, structure, while, for, do while, break, while, unchained. These are the like 32 keywords in the C language. So these all 32 keywords are reserved keywords in the C language. These 32 keywords we cannot use as a variables. And these 32 keywords are like a small case letter, which is like case sensitive. So by using these 32 variables only, we can out of these 32 variables, we can create the variables by using the data types. So whatever we have the keywords, in those keywords only we have the data type. No. So now going to the next concept like data types. See, as I mentioned, the keywords are already predefined and reserved words in the C language. So it has special meaning to the compiler. Same keywords data types also already reserved words only. So whatever we are saying the key data types, these all data type int, character, float, double. These all data types will be coming under keywords only. Int and we will have float, character. Okay, so it means whatever keywords we have, whatever data types we have, all data types will be coming under keywords. But whatever keywords we have, those all keywords will not be coming under data types. See, if you want to store, so what is the use of data type first of all? Now, if I want to store a value, so which type of value? If I want to store any integer type of value, then I need to use integer data type. Next, if I want to store any characters like A, B or special characters, ampersand symbol, percentile, cap, hash, dollar, if I want to store those type of symbols or characters, I need to use character data type. Next, if I want to use any decimal value, if I want to store a decimal value in the C language, I want to create one variable which holds the decimal value. In that case, I need to use float value. Next, what is a double? So in the float, we can say up to 6 digits only. One, two, three, four, five, six. So after digit, we can hold only 6 decimal values in the float. But coming to the double, it can be it will be like double. So it means it can store up to 12 digits after the decimal value. So you can say float is extension of double. Sorry, double is extension of float. Okay. So see, if we want to store any value to the variable, then we will use the keywords. By using data types, we will create a variable and that we will store the value. All data types are come under the keywords, but all keywords will not come under the data types. Keywords we cannot use as a variable name. So as I mentioned, these all data types also will be coming under keywords, so that these names also we cannot use as a variable name. Now we will go with each and every data type: int, char, float. Now see, as I mentioned, for example, if I want to create one variable, that's it. So the variable considers like a flag, the name. So now in this variable, I want to store some value. So consider I want to store 10. So this is like an integer type of value. There is no decimal value, right, for this value. So if there is no decimal value, then it will say like it is an integer value. So now I want to store this 10 value in the flag variable. So simply if I write like this, it won't be work, because we are not mentioning this flag which type of data type we did not mention. So first we need to mention the data type for this variable, then only we can store the value in this variable. So for that, first we need to write data type name and the variable name, data type name, variable name, semicolon, like in this way. So we need to specify the first name as a data type name and second name as like a variable name. So now we can store that value of 10 in the flag variable. And integers are like whole numbers, so that can have both 0, positive, negative values, but no decimal value, right? So we can use integer for declaring an integer value. So here I created like couple of variables: int id comma age. So here with the same data type, I want to create two variables. So that is the reason I had written the same name with the separated by comma. So if I want to create multiple variables with the same data type, by using delimiters like a comma, by using separator comma, we can create how many variables we want. Those many variables we can create it. So now these all variables also will be coming under integer data type only. So now in all these four variables, we can store only decimal values, either positive number or negative number or 0. Okay, now we need to know the size of the memory, size of the variables, and size of the data type. So here we are saying flag, ID, check, variable, vary. These all four coming under into int data type. So when we declare any variable with respect to the data type, whatever the size of data type we have, that size only will be allocated to these variables also. So by default, integer will have at least 2 bytes or max 4 bytes, which means 2 bytes means 1 byte equals to 8 bits. So it is like literally 16-bit or 32-bit. For character, it always 1 byte, and for float, 4 bytes. For double, it is 8 byte. And coming to the format specified, by coming to the next topics, we will understand. As of now, just remember, int is like for percentile D, character is like percentile C, float percentile F, double percentile LF. Now, so we are saying that whatever we have the size of the memory for the data type, that size only we will allocate to the variables. And if you are mentioning it is like integer data type of variable, then we can store integer values in this variable. Now, like integer also, like we have some ranges, right? Because like if I want to store in this number, for example. Will it be stored in the integer variables? We need to verify, right? So that is the reason C language providing its range also. If you want to use integer data type variable, you can mention the range. So up to in this range only, we can assign the value to the variables of integer data type. See, for example, if my number is bigger than this one, so for example, int check equals, if I had written like this, it will not throw any error. It will take this value, but we allocated this as a we assign this value. But if you want to print this check value, right, it won't print this value because sorry, not 7. Consider 8. So we are assigning some random value to the variable of check, and we are trying to print the check value. So while you print this check variable, you will not see this exact value because the range of this integer data type is up to 3647 only. But here we assign as like 3648. So whatever we have the range of integer is more than the number we allocated to this variable. So now how we need to resolve this issue? So as I mentioned, float is the double, right? So if you want to store a bigger value, then we will go with a double. If you want to store a smaller value, means after decimal 6 digits, we can go with float. So similarly for integer also, if you want to store bigger value than this range, we can go with long. Check equals to this variable. Clear? So if you want to store value within this range, we can use integer data type. But if you want to increase the if you want to store a value bigger than this range or smaller than this range, we can store the variable in the long data type. Clear? So int is like a 4, consider like int is as a 4, long as a 8 bytes. Similarly, float as a 4, double as a 8 bytes. Clear? Any doubts in the int or long variable? Okay, I'm going with the next data type as a float. So now float. As I mentioned, if you want to store any decimal value or real numbers, then we need to use to create a float or double data type variables. So similarly, for creating of integer variables, how we are creating data type name, variable name. Similarly for float also, float and the variable name as like we can say marks. So now in this variable, we can store the value as like a decimal value, or see for example, as I mentioned, if you declare a float data type for the variable, we can store marks as a like a 10.2 something, any value with a decimal. But I want to store like a 10. But here the 10 is a decimal value, right? The value is a decimal, but marks variable is a like float variable. So in this case, what will be happen in the background? In marks variable, in the marks memory, it will store as a 10.00000000 zeros. So in this way, it will store in this memory section. It won't store like a 10 only. Clear? So although if we allocated is like a decimal value, I mean integer value, but still in this variable, it will be stored as with a decimal value as a 10.0000. Similarly for integer also, if you want to store a value int m1 equals to 19.2. So here although you allocate with the decimal value of m1 variable with integer data type, but still if you see in the m1 memory, it will be stored only 19. It won't store any after the decimal values because here my m1 is a integer type of memory. So although if you forgot to give normal as per the definition of the integer and the float values, if you given vice versa also, still it will correct by own itself. Now see, float, salary, double, price. Example. See, difference between float and double. See, the size of the float, single precision float data type is 4 bytes, and the size of the double float data type is 8 bytes. Okay, is it clear? Next we are going with the character data type. So till now we are seeing like normal integer value or decimal values. So but if you see our English format, we have alphabets also, right? A or capital Z. If I want to store B, capital A in these characters, or ash and ampersand at the rate star. So if I want to store this type of specific characters, special characters, or if I want to store a character alphabet variables, then I need to use character keyword as a data type. So keyword char is used for declaring character type of variable. See, same. What is the syntax? Where data type name and variable name. Character as a data type, text as a variable name. So equal to h. So now in this data type, it will be like somewhat different. So till now, directly we are assigning the value to the variable in the integer or float. But coming to in character, it will be different. We need to give as a like single quotation. So in this single quotation only, we need to store our character as a T or K or L in this way. So whatever the character you want to store in this variable, we need to mention with a single quotation. So inside a single quotation only, we need to specify our characters. So the size of the character variable is 1 byte only, because like we are allocating only 1 byte. We are storing only one character. So 1 byte means how many bits? 8 bits. So 1 byte equals to 8 bits. So this is for char, and for integer consider 4 bytes. So which means 4 into 8 equals to 32 bits. And coming to float also 4 bytes. 4 into 8 equals to 32 bits. Now, if you go with the next concept is like size of operator. Like as I mentioned, we are saying that integer like a 4 bytes, float is a 4 bytes, and character is a 1 byte. Correct? But how we want to verify how much memory it is taking? So you know the basics, right? Like computer architecture, like 32-bit architecture and 62-bit architecture. So these architecture where you can see your CPU performance. So while you will buying any laptop, you will consider, right? This is like 64-bit operating system or 32-bit operating system. So purely this integer also same. Depends on your operating system, it will take that action. Now it is saying like it is a 32-bit. So if you are using 32-bit software, then it will take 4 into 8, 32 bits. If you are taking 64-bit compiler, then it will take 8 into 8, 64 bits compiler. Clear? But coming to the float and character, it will be always same. So character is 1 byte and float is a 4 bytes. So now, how we can check the size of this character or int or float? See, for that, just have created a normal variable int a, float b, char c, long d, and double e. Now, if I want to print this size of the integer or float or character by using the size of operator, we can print the size of the number of the whatever the data type we want. So either you can use the size of the whatever the variable we have allocated to the data type, which means yeah we can keep. Otherwise, you can mention simply size of the keyword also, which is data type. So size of int. So anything is the same. Correct, right? Here a here like what is a? It is representing to integer data type only. Correct. So although if you're writing a is also fine, or if you want to write size of int, also it will be the fine. So the basic printf statements will go with the next concept. As of now, don't worry. Just understand if I want to print this memory of the data type or variables. Then by using the size of operator, I can print the memory. See, by using size of operator, we can see the size of the variable or size of the data type. So this is called size of operators. Next, till now we are seeing like variables, right? So in C language, these variables will be called as like an identifier. Okay. So see, identifier refers to name given to entities such as variables, functions, structures, and unions. So till now we are seeing only variables. So coming the next concepts, we will know the functions and structures and unions. And identifiers must be unique to identify the during execution of the program. See, for example, if I want to create int flag equals to 20, in later again in flag equals to 30, I want to allocate. Now see, already you have created a flag variable by using integer data type. So and you have stored the value as like 20. After few lines of your program, again you want to create the flag variable with same data type or any other data type also, and you are trying to allocate some value. But in this case, you will get a compilation error. It's showing like redefine. So already this flag variable we defined with the integer data type. So once again, if you want to try with a different data type also, we will get compilation error as like redefined error. So already we allocated, already we created the variable for the integer, this flag. So once again, we're trying to recreate the same variable name with a different data type or the same data type also. Still, we will get the compilation error because whenever you are creating a variable, it should be unique. Because if you have unique variables, so easily you can identify and easily you can access those variables and you can catch those respective values in the variable. So that is the reason we are mentioning variables should be unique and to identify the during execution of the program. See here, int money and double account balance. Here, money and account balance are identifiers. Here, identifier names must be different from keywords. So whatever we are saying the variable name, these variable names and these are the data types. So whatever we have the data types and whatever the keywords we have, those things we cannot use as a variable name. Clear till now? Now, uh, till now we are seeing rules for the data types and rules for the keywords. Now we have some again rules for the variables also to create. Let us see what are the rules for those. A valid identifier means a valid variable can have the letter both uppercase and lowercase letters, digits and underscores also. So if you want to store, if you want to create, so this is also valid variable name. But the in this variable, what is the first letter? Here the first letter is F, and here the first letter is G. But if you want to store the first letter as a 1, because the first letter of an identifier should be either letter or an underscore, means either you can use alphabet letter or you can use underscore, first digit of the character, I mean the variable. You cannot, we cannot use as a now digit as a first place in the variable name. You're clear, right? In this case, to create what are the rules we have to declare a variable name? We can combine with a number and underscore or alphabets, what are the small and big case. but we cannot start with a digit variable name. So we can start either alphabet or underscore. And we cannot, as I mentioned from first onwards, we cannot use keywords like int, while, etc. And whatever we have the keywords, 32 keywords, we cannot use as a identifiers. And one more last rule, that is like identifier should be less than 31 characters. See, for example, if I want to create like a variable name like a, is this meaningful? No, right? So we need to remember one basic. So if you want to create any variable name, it should be meaningful to the operation, whatever you want to use. See, if I want to store a value of addition of two numbers, result. So if addition of two numbers means we can say sum. So if I'm writing sum means by default we are, by seeing the name itself we are understanding that okay, in this variable I am storing sum of 2 or sum of 3 or sum of 4, anything, but I am storing the sum of the variables here. And if I trying to use sub or subtraction, it means we are saying that it is like a subtraction of some variables, or for example result. So in result means we are saying that after doing some operations, we want to store some value. That value we are storing the result variable. So we can say result as like final output. So in this way, whenever you are creating any variable name, it should be meaningful to your program. Based on what program, whatever the program you are writing, based on that, it will be useful. So although you can create unnecessary variables also, but still you are creating unnecessary of memory creations, right? See, for example, you have your laptop have only 100 GB of, I mean 100 MB hard disk. So you want to create some files. So you have created some unnecessary files also. Now tomorrow you want to store some important file in your laptop, but there is no space. So now what you will do? Again, whatever you created the unnecessary files, you need to delete all those unnecessary files, and then only you can store this new important file. So that is the reason better to avoid unnecessary variables after completion of your program. So don't create lot of variable names. Just wherever you require, in that place you can create the variable, so that your program will be efficient and your program memory also will be take as per the your requirement only. It won't take extra memory access also. Same, whatever we have the identifiers as both as variables names also. A program is a container storing area to hold the data. To, to indicate the storage area, which each variable should be given as a unique name as an identifier. Variable names are just like the symbolic representation of the memory location. See here, the max is a variable of integer data type. Here the variable is assigned as integer value is 95. The value of the variable can be changed once the name variable. Hence the name variable. Now see, int number equals to 5, integer variable. I am trying to give int number equals 10.5. It is an error, correct? Because the number we assume is an integer data type, but we are trying to allocate the value as a decimal value. It is a wrong, but still you will not get any comparison error. It will store. How it will store? It will store only the 10 value. It won't store any dot 5 value. Means you are losing some information. So that is the reason. If you want to store any decimal value, then go with a double or float. See, here the type of number variable is integer. We cannot assign a floating point decimal value 5.5 to this variable also. Also, we cannot redefine the data type of the variable. See, once you declare the data variable with the integer data type, after that we are trying to change that number with the double data type. It won't be work because like it will show the same redefined error. So already you define the number with the integer data type. So in this case, what we need to do? We need to create another variable name, and in that variable name, we need to assign that same value 10.5. So if you want to store the decimal value, then we need to declare its type of to either double or float. We are going with the next concept at a constant. So before going to constant, let's deep into the coming the variables also. See now I'm created one variable name as like in marks. So how I can assign value? Marks equals to 20. I can assign. After some time again I can change the value as a 30, or so at the time of declaring a variable also I can initialize some value to the variable. So see, basic steps is like if you created in this way, just we declared a variable. We did not assign any value, right? So it is like uninitialized value. So it is like a only declaration. If you want to declare and initialize, then this is the syntax. So here just we are declaring the variable, and here we are declare and initialize the value to the variable. Clear? So if you want to declare a variable, just we can go with integer data type and whatever we want the variable name and semicolon. Along the at the time of the same line, if you want to initialize some value to the variable, so in this way we can do it. Okay. In these two cases, after that also, if you want to change any value to these respective variables, we can change in this directly. The variable name equal to and whatever the value you want, that value you can assign. Clear? Now in constancy, if you want to define a variable whose value cannot be changed, so that we can use constant keyword. See, for example, in these two cases, we declared as an integer mark and integer flag. So we in this case, like we did not assign any value. Just we declared a variable. In this case, we declared and we initialized the value. And after some time, we are trying to change the marks as a like 20 and flag as a 30. So it will be correct. It is correct only. Value in that variable memory. But sometime what we want to say explicitly, I want to create a variable and I want to assign some value to the variable, but that value it should not be changed any time. So in that case, what I need to do, just I need to write as a const as a keyword before the data type in flag equals to 20. So in this way, what will be happen? We are saying it is a constant integer type of flag variable of 20, means once we allocated 20 value to this flag variable, we cannot change flag as a 30 or -5 or any value or any value. So we cannot change the flag value because it is a constant keyword, which means we know the meaning of basic constant, basic meaning, right? Constant means it's never changed, it is always same. So that is the meaning only. So here when you declare with a constant keyword with the flag variable name, then we are saying that we cannot change, we cannot modify the value with 20. So it is like always read only memory. So no, so from now onwards, this flag is always coming under as a read only memory. Just you can use the flag variable by using 20 only. You cannot change or you cannot update any value in this variable. But in these variables, okay, for avoiding the confusion, consider marks. So in this marks variable, we cannot assign or you cannot modify any value. But in this case, oh, So in this case, we cannot modify the value, but in this case, we can modify the value at later section also by using simply variable name and equal to the value of the variable. We have added keyword const before the data type of the double. See, here the variable name is a pi. What is the data type we are allocating? Double. And const we are keeping. So before data type we need to keep as a constant. So we allocated one value as like 3.14. And after that you want to change as a 2.9. You will get the clear till now or any doubts? Not only for the double, it can use as an integer, we can use as a float, we can use as a long character. Each and every data type we can use as a constant keywords based on our requirement. As of now, I will stop here, and tomorrow I will go with the like basic program. I will start with the basic hello world program and how it will be work and what is each and everything we are writing. So each and every word I will explain by tomorrow in the first class. So after that, I will go with the pre-process states. So today, this is the class.